On a tempestuous night, while the outside world was engulfed in darkness and the wind shrieked, Sarah believed she was secure in her own home. However, sometimes the most terrifying dangers aren't lurking outside. They are the ones that manage to intrude. This evening, Sarah is about to confront a nightmare unlike any other. A silent caller, a menacing presence, and a series of messages that make it difficult to distinguish between reality and what's lurking just out of sight. Welcome to tonight's tale, The Silent Caller. The storm outside was ferocious, with thunder crashing and lightning momentarily brightening Sarah's vacant house. Alone that night, she nestled on the couch, aimlessly scrolling through her phone as the wind howled as if something were attempting to break it. Her phone buzzed with a call all of a sudden. She looked at her screen, which displayed the words "unknown number." She paused. She had no idea who would contact her at this hour, let alone from an unknown number. However, her curiosity overcame her. Holding her breath, she held the phone up to her ear and swiped to respond. Quiet. She heard a tiny, scratchy murmur on the other end, so quiet she could hardly hear it, just as she was ready to hang up.
"I see you,"
said the voice. A shiver went down Sarah's spine as her heart leaped. Half expecting it to be a joke, she stared at the screen as she yanked the phone away. However, the call was already over. She shook her head and told herself it was nothing, trying to shrug it off as a joke. However, her phone buzzed once again as she was starting to calm down. Her heart had skipped a beat as she glanced at the screen. It was the same unidentified number. She answered with trembling hands, seeming to be bolder than she actually was. The voice sounded a bit louder and clearer this time.
"I am closer than you think."
It whispered. The call ended suddenly. Staring at her phone, Sarah sat still, dread soaked into her bones, and she could feel her heart thumping in her ears. Was it a joke? Or was she being watched? A tiny creaking sound came from upstairs as she was ready to get up and check her windows and doors. Her blood was chilly as she whipped her head in the direction of the stairway. She was meant to be by herself, wondering who or what might be waiting for her upstairs. Sarah carefully got up from her couch and stared up the dark staircase. Sarah gripped her phone hard as she ascended the stairs carefully, trying to calm herself. The creak of the wooden steps beneath her boots was the only sound in the eerily quiet mansion. Her instincts told her to go back, but she had to make sure she was by herself. She could well recall closing her bedroom door earlier, but at the top of the stairs, she saw it was slightly open. She was terrified by the sight, and her mind was racing with ideas. Is it possible that someone entered without her noticing? She inhaled deeply before pushing the door open wider and entering. She felt even more vulnerable because of the lengthy, unsettling shadows her torch created on the walls. She looked around, seeing that nothing seemed out of place and that her chamber was undisturbed. Then she was startled when her phone buzzed in her hand. Her screen displayed another text from the unidentified number.
"Pay closer attention. I'm close."
Sarah's mind was racing, and she was looking around the room furiously as panic struck. The whole house seemed to be holding its breath in the oppressive hush. She was aware that she had to leave the house right away. She remained there, though, maybe out of perverse curiosity or maybe a desperation to find out who was torturing her.
"Who are you?
She typed back after taking a big breath.
What do you want?"
In an attempt to buy herself a few seconds to reflect, she hit submit. Her cell buzzed almost instantly. The response froze her to the bone. All that was written was,
"Turn around."
She was immobilized despite the terrifying screams from every nerve in her body. Something forced her to turn slowly, her torch illuminating the dark chamber while she longed to escape, to run. A dark silhouette standing just out of the light's line of sight caught her beam. She could just see a pale, expressionless face with sunken eyes that appeared to be staring right into her heart. She retreated as the person advanced, a hand covering her mouth to prevent a scream. With a twisted smile that turned her blood to cold, the creature smiled. She staggered back, the torch falling out of her hands and hitting the floor with unsettling shadows. Her hands shaking, she looked down at the screen as her phone buzzed one last time. It said,
Now. I'm right behind you.
Sarah's neck was touched by a chilly breath. She whirled, her heart stopping, only to see the figure standing inches from her, its dark eyes brimming with a horrible desire. Sarah's destiny is left undetermined in a state of frightening tension as everything goes dark as her scream fills the air.
We appreciate your attention. Remember to like, subscribe, and share if you dare. Additionally, stay tuned for our upcoming stories. There's always more to discover.